the two silent warnings your love might be ending. Have you ever sensed a gentle drift in a cherished relationship? A subtle cooling where once there was warmth? A growing silence that whispers volumes even without a single harsh word exchanged? We all deeply desire connections that last. A love that stands firm against the winds of time. But what happens when that precious bond begins to loosen? Not with a sudden storm of conflict, but with a gradual, almost imperceptible drift. Perhaps you have noticed a loved one's gaze lingering elsewhere, their laughter a little less frequent in your shared moments, or their touch no longer holding the same familiar warmth. These subtle yet significant shifts can leave us feeling adrift, filled with confusion and uncertainty. Today we embark on a journey into the deep wisdom of ancient traditions and the heartfelt experiences of those who have traversed many seasons of life, seeking to illuminate two key signs that often signal a love that is gently fading. Understanding these signs is not about assigning blame or dwelling in sorrow, but rather about cultivating a compassionate awareness and responding with wisdom as we navigate these delicate transitions. So, if you have ever pondered the unspoken language of a withdrawing heart, or how to navigate these tender shifts with grace and inner peace, you have found your sanctuary. What are these two pivotal indicators, and how can a deeper understanding of them guide us closer to inner peace, regardless of the external circumstances? The first sign, the gentle withdrawal, a growing distance. Have you ever observed the tide slowly receding from the shore? A gradual and steady movement that reveals the landscape of the beach in ways you hadn't quite noticed before. Envision a majestic old oak tree, its strong branches once intimately intertwined with those of a neighboring willow in a vibrant dance of life and shared sunlight. Over time, perhaps the very earth beneath the willow subtly shifts, or a gentle alteration in the patterns of sunlight occurs. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the willow begins to lean ever so slightly away, its leaves no longer brushing against the sturdy oak with the same familiar touch. The wind may still rustle through their branches in unison, creating a shared symphony, but the inherent closeness, the constant exchange of life and energy, begins to diminish. This subtle yet significant shift is akin to the first profound sign of love gently fading, a growing distance. The profound Buddhist concept of impermanence, known as anicca, reminds us with gentle wisdom that all things in this universe are in a constant state of flux and change. Relationships, like every other phenomenon we experience, are subject to this fundamental and natural law of transformation. The initial closeness, the shared laughter, and the interwoven experiences that once so strongly bound two hearts may gradually lessen, not necessarily due to conflict or dramatic upheaval, but simply as an inherent part of life's unfolding journey. Reflect upon the powerful words of the Buddha. All conditioned things are impermanent. This fundamental truth extends its reach into the very realm of human emotions and the intricate connections we forge. Recognizing this inherent impermanence can offer us a space of understanding as we observe a growing distance in a relationship, allowing us to refrain from immediately resorting to blame or succumbing to panic. It creates a space of gentle acceptance, a recognition that change is not an anomaly, but an intrinsic and unavoidable aspect of the human experience. Let us listen with open hearts to the story of May, now a wise 78 years young, who shared her heartfelt experience. My husband, bless his gentle soul, was always my shadow, my constant companion. We navigated the currents of life, big and small, side by side, sharing almost every moment. But as the seasons turned and the years gracefully passed, I began to notice a subtle shift. He started spending more time in his cherished workshop, deeply engrossed in the quiet focus of his woodworking. Our evening chats, once filled with lively exchanges and shared reflections, became shorter, filled with comfortable silences that slowly, almost imperceptibly, grew a little too long. It wasn't that he was ever angry or outwardly unhappy. He simply seemed elsewhere, his inner world drawing him away in a gentle tide. Looking back now, with the clarity of time, I see that a gentle distance had begun to form, like a quiet parting of ways, even while we continued to share the same beloved home. May's story beautifully resonates with the understanding that this growing distance can manifest in a multitude of subtle ways. A decrease in shared laughter that once filled the air, conversations becoming shorter and more focused on practicalities rather than heartfelt connection, a noticeable decline in spontaneous gestures of affection or shared activities, and a reduced desire for your company in everyday moments. It is as if their inner world, their thoughts and energies, are gradually shifting away from yours, not with intention to harm, but as a natural reorientation of their inner landscape. In the profound teachings of Zen, there is a strong emphasis on the practice of mindfulness, on cultivating the ability to pay close and non-judgmental attention to the present moment. Cultivating this mindful awareness in our daily lives can help us notice these subtle shifts in distance early on, not as a cause for immediate alarm or reactive fear, but as a gentle invitation to understand the evolving and changing landscape of the relationship. But while physical proximity or even the flow of conversation are significant aspects of connection, they are only one piece of the intricate puzzle. There is another, perhaps even more profound and telling, shift that often occurs when love begins its quiet fade. The second sign, the shifting gaze. A change in perception. Think of a familiar and beloved landscape viewed through a slightly different lens. The vibrant colors might appear a little more muted, the sharp contours less distinctly defined. Have you ever sensed a similar subtle shift in how someone looks at you, in the very way they perceive your presence? The second key sign that love might be gently receding is a change in perception. A subtle but significant alteration in the way someone sees you, interacts with you, and the fundamental energy they project towards your being. It is as if the familiar and comforting spark in their eyes has subtly dimmed, their tone of voice carries a slightly different resonance, and the warmth you once felt so readily emanating from them has gently cooled. They may still be physically present in your shared spaces and moments, but the very way they perceive and engage with your inner being has undergone a subtle yet undeniable transformation. The insightful Zen story of the wanderer and the wise sage beautifully illustrates this profound point. The sage, with his deep wellspring of wisdom cultivated through years of observation and quiet contemplation, does not focus on dramatic pronouncements or grand gestures, but rather on the subtle shifts, a barely perceptible change in the wanderer's posture, a fleeting and almost imperceptible look in his eyes, to understand the deeper, underlying currents flowing within his heart. Similarly, in our own intimate relationships, this crucial change in perception is often conveyed not through loud words or dramatic actions, but through these quiet, non-verbal cues, the subtle shifts in demeanor and energetic presence that speak volumes far beyond the reach of spoken language. The story of David, now 65, is tinged with a poignant sense of reflection as he recounted, "With my first wife, especially in the beginning of our journey together, Her eyes would genuinely light up with a warm and welcoming glow the moment I walked into the room. Even after many years of shared life, there was a deep familiarity and a tangible affection in her gaze that consistently made me feel truly seen, understood, and deeply cherished. But as our path began to diverge and towards the eventual end of our shared journey, that familiar inner light seemed to subtly fade. Her eyes would still meet mine, but there was a noticeable distance, a subtle lack of that deep, soul-level connection I had once known so intimately. It wasn't anger or resentment that I perceived. It was more akin to her looking at a cherished photograph of someone she used to know, a fond memory, but no longer a vibrant, present reality. This deeply poignant observation powerfully highlights the profound and often heartbreaking impact of this subtle but significant shift in perception. The Buddhist concept of emptiness, known as sunyata, while often misunderstood and sometimes misinterpreted as nihilism or mere nothingness, can offer a deeper and more nuanced understanding of this shift. Emptiness, in this profound context, does not signify absolute nothingness, but rather the fundamental absence of inherent, unchanging self or essence in all phenomena, including ourselves and our relationships. Just as our own perceptions of the world and those around us are constantly evolving and changing, so too do others' perceptions of us and the nature of the relationship we share. Recognizing this inherent fluidity and lack of fixed essence can help us gently accept that the initial way someone perceived us, often fueled by the fresh bloom of new connection, may naturally and organically shift and evolve over the passage of time, without necessarily signifying a personal failure or a fundamental fault in either individual. The wise sage in the Zen story beautifully emphasizes that the heart always feels the truth before the mind perceives. We often sense this subtle but significant change in perception on a deeper, more intuitive level of our being, long before our conscious mind fully grasps and articulates what is subtly unfolding. It might manifest as a vague feeling of unease, a subtle sense that something has shifted in the dynamic, even if we cannot quite pinpoint or logically explain the difference. Paying close attention to these inner signals, these instinctive gut feelings that arise, is therefore a crucial aspect of understanding the evolving landscape of our connections. How has the way someone looked at you or interacted with you subtly shifted in a relationship you have experienced, leaving you with a lingering sense that something was no longer quite the same? Gaining a deeper understanding of these two key indicators, the gentle but persistent growing distance and the subtle yet profound change in perception, is a vital step towards navigating these delicate transitions with greater wisdom and compassion. But what happens within us when we begin to recognize these shifts unfolding in a relationship we hold dear? What is the wise and compassionate response we can cultivate in these tender moments? And it is this very question that lies at the heart of navigating the shifting tides: wisdom and acceptance. Imagine trying to grasp a handful of fine sand too tightly in your clenched fist. The harder you try to hold on, the more inevitably slips through your fingers and is carried away by the breeze. Is there a similar counterintuitive dynamic at play when love, in its natural course, begins to gently fade and recede? The ancient wisdom traditions, particularly the profound philosophy of Buddhism, offer invaluable guidance when we find ourselves facing the inherent impermanence of love. Trying to forcefully hold on to someone whose heart is naturally withdrawing, to desperately cling to a love that is gently receding like the tide, is often likened to the futile act of trying to stop a powerful river from flowing towards its destined ocean. the immense energy we expend in resistance only serves to create inner turmoil, prolongs the inevitable separation, and often causes unnecessary suffering for all involved. As the wisdom shared in these reflections wisely states, love that forces itself to stay is not love, it's imprisonment. The core Buddhist concept of non-attachment is often misunderstood as indifference or a lack of care and genuine affection. However, its true meaning lies in cultivating a profound freedom from clinging to specific outcomes or rigidly fixed expectations. A deep recognition that all things in this transient world are subject to change and impermanence. When we are not fiercely attached to a particular outcome in a relationship, when we can hold it with an open hand rather than a tight fist, we can navigate its inevitable changes with greater equanimity, inner peace, and significantly less suffering. Non-attachment allows us to fully appreciate the beauty and joy of what was, the precious moments shared, while simultaneously remaining open and receptive to what might be unfolding in the present moment and the future. From her heart, Ilara, a grandmother, offered her own perspective, born of a lifetime of experiences and profound wisdom. My dear grandson was utterly heartbroken when his first deep love gently came to its natural end. He kept desperately trying to win her back, endlessly calling her, sending countless messages filled with longing and constantly reliving cherished memories of the past, unable to accept the present reality. I sat with him, held his hand, and told him gently, "Dear one, you cannot hold on to someone who is already walking away from you, their heart leading them down a different path. Your precious energy is a valuable gift. Use it wisely to nurture your own growth and build your own fulfilling path forward." It took time, gentle conversations, and his own inner reflection, but he eventually began to understand the profound truth that chasing someone who no longer desires to be with you only keeps you stuck in a cycle of pain and prevents you from embracing new possibilities. This heartfelt wisdom echoes the powerful sentiment that love cannot be owned, and that true strength and inner peace often lie in recognizing when it is time to gently release and let go. The wise sage in the Zen story gently advises us to accept the natural and often unpredictable flow of love in our lives, and to avoid the draining and ultimately futile act of chasing someone whose heart is already withdrawing. This is not an act of passive resignation or a sign of weakness, but rather a profound act of self-respect, an acknowledgement of the inherent freedom within each individual, and a deep understanding of the fundamental and ever-changing nature of all relationships. What are some practical ways in your own life that you can consciously practice the principles of non-attachment and gentle acceptance when facing the inevitable changes and transitions within your relationships? While the act of letting go can feel incredibly challenging and even painful in the moment, the natural ending of one chapter in our lives often gracefully marks the beginning of an entirely new and unforeseen one. What beautiful possibilities for profound personal growth, deep healing, and the blossoming of new beginnings can arise within us when a relationship gently shifts and evolves or naturally comes to its conclusion, the blooming of a new season, growth and transformation. Imagine a dedicated gardener tending to their beloved garden with care and attention. When one particular plant, having completed its life cycle, withers and returns to the earth, does the entire garden cease to exist? Or rather, does the space it once occupied create new room, fertile ground for new seeds to be lovingly sown and vibrant new life to flourish in its place? The natural end of a significant relationship, even when it involves the quiet and gentle fading of love rather than a dramatic ending, is not necessarily a tragedy to be feared. In fact, as the wise sage beautifully suggests, it often creates room to grow again. When we are no longer investing our precious energy in desperately trying to hold on to a connection that is naturally dissolving and evolving, that valuable energy becomes readily available for our own profound personal growth, deep inner healing, and the joyful cultivation of new and unforeseen possibilities in our lives. Profound Buddhist teachings strongly emphasize the vital importance of cultivating self-compassion, especially during times of transition and change. When a significant relationship comes to an end, it is a natural and valid human experience to feel a wide range of emotions, from deep sadness and profound confusion to waves of anger and even feelings of guilt or self-blame. During these tender times, treating ourselves with the same gentle kindness, understanding, and unwavering patience that we would readily offer to a dear friend going through a similar difficult experience is absolutely crucial for our healing and growth. Just as we would extend compassion and empathy to a loved one navigating a painful transition, we must consciously extend that same tender compassion and understanding to our own hearts. After a long and deeply intertwined marriage gently came to its natural conclusion, Kenji, now a wise 70 years young, faced a new and challenging chapter, feeling profoundly lost and adrift. For so many years, he shared with quiet honesty, "My very sense of identity had become so deeply intertwined with my wife's, our lives woven together like the threads of a rich tapestry. When she eventually moved on to pursue her own path, I felt like I no longer knew who I was as an individual, standing alone in the space we once shared. But slowly, tentatively at first, I started exploring long-forgotten interests I had gently put aside over the years, reconnecting with cherished old friends who had always held a special place in my heart, and discovering entirely new passions that brought unexpected joy and meaning to my days. The ending of that significant chapter in my life, while undeniably painful at the time, ultimately led me to a far deeper and more profound understanding of myself, my own inner strengths, and what truly brought lasting joy and fulfillment to my life." Kenji's experience beautifully illustrates how the space that is gently left by a fading relationship can, in time, become fertile ground for profound self-discovery and the blossoming of a renewed sense of purpose. These wise reflections beautifully conclude with the comforting and enduring thought that love, true love, never ceases to exist. It simply changes shape. This profound insight suggests that even when a romantic connection gently fades and transforms, the fundamental capacity for love remains alive and well within us. It may then manifest in different and equally meaningful forms: a deeper and more nurturing love for ourselves, a strengthened bond of love with our family and cherished friends, a passionate love for our creative pursuits and life's passions, or perhaps the beautiful potential for entirely new forms of love to enter our lives in the unfolding future. The very essence of love, in its purest and most enduring form, is an unwavering energy that simply adapts and evolves in response to the ever-changing circumstances of our lives. Reflect upon the experience of Sarala, a vibrant 62-year-old artist who shared with gentle wisdom, "After my beloved husband peacefully passed away, it felt as if my entire world had been plunged into darkness and silence. But as time gently passed and I allowed myself to grieve and heal, I gradually realized that the deep and abiding love we shared hadn't simply disappeared into the void. It lived on within the cherished tapestry of my memories, in the invaluable life lessons he had lovingly taught me, and in the very way I now approached and experienced the world around me. Our love, in its transformed state, became an enduring source of strength, resilience, and even a profound wellspring of inspiration for my art, coloring my creations with a depth and emotion I hadn't known before. Love, in its truest and most enduring form, is a powerful and unwavering energy that transcends the boundaries of physical presence and continues to shape and enrich our lives in profound and unexpected ways. Focusing our energy on our own personal growth, our inner healing, and looking forward with a quiet sense of confidence and hopeful anticipation, rather than clinging to the past with regret or longing, is a powerful and transformative way to navigate the natural end of a relationship. It is about fully embracing the present moment with all its challenges and opportunities, and trusting in our own innate resilience, our inner strength, and our inherent capacity for future happiness and connection in its many beautiful forms. What are some areas of your own life where you feel a renewed sense of possibility, growth, and perhaps even excitement after experiencing a significant change or transition? We set out at the beginning of our time together to illuminate the two key behaviors that often signal a subtle shift in a cherished relationship: the gentle but persistent growing distance, and the often unspoken but deeply felt change in perception. By understanding these subtle indicators through the illuminating lens of ancient wisdom and the heartfelt experiences of those who have gracefully walked this path before us, we can cultivate greater awareness, deeper acceptance, and unwavering compassion, both for ourselves and for those whose paths may be gently diverging from our own. If you found this exploration insightful and wish to delve even deeper into the timeless wisdom of navigating life's inevitable changes with greater peace, resilience, and profound understanding, we warmly invite you to watch our video, Why Everything Happens for a Reason: The Zen Buddhism Motivational Story That Changes Everything. In that reflection, we will explore the perspectives that empower you to build unwavering inner strength, navigate life's inevitable storms with grace, and discover the deep wellspring of peace that resides within you. By understanding the power of self-compassion and the art of letting go, you can further cultivate inner resilience and navigate the ever-changing currents of life with greater wisdom, courage, and unwavering grace. Remember always that the gentle ending of one chapter in the intricate story of your life is so often the beautiful beginning of another, filled with unforeseen opportunities for profound personal growth, deep healing, and the blossoming of new forms of love in its many radiant expressions. May your own unique journey be ever filled with peace, with wisdom, and with the unwavering light of your own beautiful inner temple.